Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about 3 different categories that you might be overspending, and they may not be the first 3 that come to mind. So I'm curious to see what you guys think and what areas you can start really honing in on and cutting back for 2025. Let's go ahead and talk about a few different ways that we can really get on track of our budget this upcoming year. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Lindsay. This is Little Helpful Files. We do cash budgeting, mini savings, and just life in general, all through the glory and by the grace of God. If this is something that you're interested in and this type of content piques your interest, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit the like button below. It means so much to me to continue to get this content out to other people like you. We are just talking through a couple of different ways that people might be overspending in categories that you really need to pay attention to. Now, I actually was watching a video, it popped up on my feed. It was Dave Ramsey and Tucker Carlson, and nothing against Dave Ramsey. I think that he's very helpful. It's actually one of the reasons that we were able to start getting on top of our finances, and we've, taken some of his suggestion and tips. But I felt that these 3 categories were a little outdated for me personally, because when you're already aware of your budget and you're already tackling some of the really easily identified categories, I feel that there are other areas that start to maybe creep up, and that's what we've noticed. So I'm curious to see if you guys agree. I'm going to tell you what their 3 categories were, and then I'm going to share what our 3 categories have been as a budgeter, being a zero-based cash budgeter, where we have seen overspending in this past year. So what are these 3 categories that they were talking about as being categories that people overspend? Now, if you are brand new to budgeting, if you've never done cash budgeting, if you are in a lot of debt and you are just now trying to get started and tackle this, these 3 categories may actually apply to you. But if you're one of my seasoned budgeters, if you are somebody who is really hyper aware of your finances and keeping track of stuff, these may be categories that you've already gotten under control. The first category was restaurants, which also would be eating out. This was a big one that my husband and I had to learn how to get on top of, and the Lord really worked with us on this many years ago, and we have become much more cognizant of what we are spending, how we were eating out. We try to really cut back, and we make a lot of food at home. The second category was vacations. And I would say we never really spent a ton on this category, but maybe when we do vacation, we think about it a lot different. So instead of trying to go somewhere more expensive or extravagant, we like to do things where we could maybe camp or do something that is going to be more affordable, staying at an Airbnb. We have different connections and different spots that we do like to go. And so we'll kind of stick with that because we know that it's within our budget and that we can afford it. We also don't vacation a ton. We have 3 children, and it's just kind of not really conducive right now for us to travel. Our youngest does not like to be in the car, and we don't really have a need. We get to see family, we get to go out and enjoy the outdoors. Where we are right now, we have a little over 2 acres, and we're hoping next year to be able to go and visit some of the places that we do like to see, but we're okay with not vacationing a lot right now. Third one would be expensive cars, and y'all, let me tell you, this was one that we kind of sought after. Before we were walking with Jesus, we really were continuing to go up the ladder, in the next car that we had gotten, and after that huge accident we had, where we had a very big loan on a very nice new car, we realized how unimportant it was, and that the most important thing was just having a reliable vehicle that would allow our family to travel from point A to point B. And so expensive cars was something that very quickly became unimportant to us. We went through that tragic, awful experience of God protecting us and keeping us safe, but we also had a lot of money to pay out for a vehicle that we didn't have anymore and that we couldn't drive anymore. So it really shifted our perspective and priorities. Now let's compare and contrast with the 3 categories that we have noticed can tend to creep up. So these are categories where we may have overspent this last year. Now again, it may not be by as much as we used to overspend, but still areas where we maybe have a harder time sticking to that budget, and our budget and our actual tend to be a little bit more off. And I'm very curious to see if you guys relate to any of these. So our first would be groceries. Groceries in general, I feel with inflation is very, very challenging. We also have a very strict diet with being dairy-free, gluten-free, soy-free. We also don't do food dyes. So we have a lot of things that we have to shop for. And in one way it does help us because we are shopping and looking for whole foods, but we also have children that like to have snacks and like to have fun things. So we do sometimes splurge, or we do treat them to certain things that would not normally be within our budget, and that can cause us to overspend a little bit. So for example, if we want to get the kids some dairy-free ice cream, those cost a lot more. Also their gluten-free bread, the price of that has just gone up like crazy. So groceries is one where it is a little bit harder some months to stay within that budget. Now again, we're only talking maybe we've spent over $50 or $100, which is very, very different than in the past when we were overspending in these categories by like hundreds or thousands. But that is definitely one that I feel for many people, groceries can be very hard to stay on budget. The second category is going to be Amazon. And I'm just gonna put Amazon as its own category because it's so easy, guys. It's so easy to go on your phone or on your app and put in the cart what you need and have it here within a few days. Now, I will say their 2-day shipping hasn't been very great lately. We've been getting things a lot later than normal, but here's the problem. So it seems easy and great. I don't want to have to go out with my 3 kiddos to go search for things and half the time not find them in the store. However, we've also noticed a lot of things not being very good quality lately or being very cheap and broken. And so that's where I'm trying to really hold back on purchasing. And again, you're going to see coming up in the next month me doing a no spend month for January, because I know that we need to really make sure that we are staying on track and sticking to our budget. And this past, few months has been a little crazy. I have not been able to record as many videos, and I'm hoping that I will be able to continue to update you guys on that. So I would say that it's not always frugal friendly because the convenience of it, I've noticed that some of these items do cost a little bit more, and then they're not really quality items. They're not made as well, so they're not gonna last as long, so you're gonna have to buy them again, which is frustrating. So groceries, Amazon, and the third would actually be our household. So household maintenance or household updates, just taking care of a house. It's so expensive, and this is one of the things with being a homeowner. Of course, there are lots of things that come up, but what I would say is hard is these things haven't even been the fun things in this past year or so that we've had to do. It's been all the things that like nobody's even gonna notice. Nobody cares, right? We've had well issues, septic issues. We had to put in a storm drain in our driveway because of areas where it was flooding. We currently are trying to work on putting an insert in our fireplace so that we can get more efficient heating. We also have a lot of paneling in our house, as you can see, which I kind of like in certain areas because, I don't know, it's just different and it just feels really cozy sometimes. But there are rooms where we're trying to remove the paneling and then fix the drywall that's underneath it and paint it and all that. But like, they're minor, they're not like fun updates. Like our bathroom really needs redone and our kitchen needs redone, but those are things that we just cannot tend to right now. But I would say this is an area where I probably don't budget for as much, and all these expenses and things will come up frequently. Of course, this is why sinking funds are so important for these areas that you do not expect to have to spend. We are doing our sinking funds a little different now with having a first lien HELOC, but regardless, I still like to try to budget and stay on track a little bit more, and I find that that category can be one that can be easily overspent. All right, so if you find yourself like me, I want you to ask these 3 questions when you're coming up with these purchases and trying to make decisions. So the first one is, can we make it? The second one is, can we thrift it? And the third one is, can we skip it? I think by asking these couple of questions, it will really start to make you think through these purchases more and hopefully cut down on the impulse purchases. Plus, it could be really fun to come up with different ways to make recipes at home, maybe gift items at home, maybe just to skip the household project for now altogether until you can save up for it, and really be able to get back on track with saving for each of these categories and staying on budget. Okay guys, so we've gone through the 3 different ones from their perspective and the 3 different ones from my perspective. Now, my question is, what are your top 3 areas where you seem to overspend or you have a harder time sticking within the budget? I'd love for you to leave me a comment below. I'm curious to see how many people will have the same ones that we have. I'm curious to see what other ones might come up. And I want to encourage us all to get these categories under control for 2025. So that's going to be what we're focusing on. I'm going to be really aware of these categories, making sure to be tracking them. I do highly recommend keeping an expense tracker, especially for the categories that you know you overspend. That was one of the biggest things when we were working towards getting out of our credit card debt and we were having a hard time with certain areas that we knew we were overspending. Tracking every single expense and of course pairing that with the cash budget really made a huge impact. So if you want more on that, I've got tons of videos on my channel that you can check out. And if I can answer any more questions, please leave a comment below for me on that. I hope that we can get 2025 kickstarted off on the right foot. I am going to be doing a January no spend month, so stay tuned for more on that in a video about how I'm going to be doing that, and hopefully you guys will join me in it. I think it's always nice to start the year off that way. It seems a little bit calmer and quieter. You know, we really cut back for the holiday season. This is the lowest amount I have ever spent on holiday gifts, Christmas gifts, which has been amazing. And it's actually been really fun. We tried to come up with some creative ways to make gifts at home or do gifts that had food in them. So that's been awesome, but I still would love to do a January no spend month. Just overall, I feel like it gives a really great restart and refresh to the budget and to your year. And of course, who doesn't want to start off the year with saving a little bit more money? Thank you guys so much for sticking around with me today. I hope that this video helped you. Maybe it just relates to kind of where you are, what you're going through, and we can encourage one another to get our budgets back on track for 2025. I will talk to you guys in a video soon, and may the Lord continue to bless you until then.